How long must that go on? Okay, what do Hey, James Carr and Elrich Arenthal, Chuck Cayley and JS up in the place. Rabbit a wonder cat and Ben Bloom and she whoop. I got the monkey on my oh God. There's a wild boar in my room. Hey! Hola, buenas amigos. Bienvenidos a Barachos de Dragones. El Runehammer. I am going to get right down to business up in this piece. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? What is going on here? Okay. I may have slightly overextended on this World's Book thing. This project is massive and never ends, and so I need to make sure that I slowly plow through the tall grass of this project at a steady pace. So I thought I'd jump on today and keep the rigor in the air by just working online with y'all chilling. All right, so I've got a few things that I wanted to do today. I am doing the Broken Rock Tunnels first, which I'm sort of halfway done with. And then I think another map called the Ruins of Beetle Muir. And then after that, I wanted to do a monster. And what was it going to be? Oh, yeah, it was going to be this thing from Ghost Mountain called the Slayer. So that's what's going down right up in this stream. So, pull yourself up a delicious beverage, which mine is way back here for some crazy reason. Get comfy and put on your favorite tunes. That's why I don't put music on these things. And let's just get into this here. So this dungeon is one of many, many dungeons which are featured in the World's Book. And that is not an exaggeration. There are 16, you guys probably have seen some of the mapping videos. There are 16 regions in Alfheim in this world map. And each one of them includes at least one dungeon map. So some of them more than one. So that doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but man, you sit down and start doing dungeons and you're like, good Lord, I've done several. What the hell am I supposed to do on this one? So the idea I want to do on the Broken Rock Tunnels here is these are actually functional tunnels, kind of like the one on Patreon in the recent story. If you go side to side, they're like functional tunnels. So they're actually using these tunnels to travel beneath the Broken Rocks, which is this kind of crazy formation in the center of Alfheim. And this place is inhabited by snow orcs. Ooh, that could be the monster that we do today, too, is the snow orcs. Anyway, so they use the side-to-side piece of the tunnel to actually, transport themselves from one forest to the next, right? Without having to move above ground. Okay, cool. But then, this is just the idea of the dungeon. They also have this deeper doorway where they generally don't like going down there. That's this doorway I'm doing right here. And that actually sort of accesses this more sort of grim area down here. And I actually wanted to do the sort of the reason that the snow orcs are here. They're actually sort of driven by what's underneath here. So I'm just getting the spaces done. I know that I want like a final space, and I know that I want this underspace to be extremely sort of difficult and weird and broken and nonsensical, like this. And then maybe we'll put a secret over here, which I haven't been using old D&D secret terminology, the little S. I've just been kind of leaving that to the creative people who are eating up the content, if they want to hide a door and stuff like that. The more things that I've been reading lately, actually, the more it has been reinforcing that our hobby is, people do the hobby. They don't just need to get the content and then mindlessly enact the content. That's not how RPGs work. Like, people that do this stuff want to add and create, tell tales and make maps, and you don't need to just hand all of it to them. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy. All right, so anyway, here we go. So this is very sort of lateral design to this, but that's all part of the fun of designing in side view for dungeons. Some of the dungeons also have a top view that goes with it so that you can get this kind of reference on the floor plan. But like, what's the floor plan of this craggy cave down under here? I don't know. I'm sure a clever dungeon master could figure that out. So a lot of my dungeons conclude in these kind of altars or something that should not be down under the earth, but they are under there. It's just a theme that I do, and I don't fight it. I just go with it. So they use like this crazy chain that's on a little tram car like this, and that's how they get up and down into this thing. And like, what is that all about? I don't know. Worry about it later. Once again, a clever DM could maybe have a little bit of a mechanical puzzle to solve to get the tram to work, to go up and down. And then, maybe there's a little bit of a danger happening and you need to figure that tram out to, maybe the tram is stuck and they need to climb down this sort of gigantic chain, whatever. I think the joy of doing it is, like I always say, is like, I just want to get your enthusiasm moving. I want to get your instincts to be a DM moving. I don't want to give you all the answers to all the puzzles and all the questions. For one thing, I don't have them because I'm not that awesome. But for another, it's cooler if you do those things. Okay, so what's over here that's so crazy? It's a little bit repeated from some of my other designs, that they kind of have this shape, but I kind of don't really care. I think it's okay. Like, this could be spun at 90 degrees or whatever. But anyways, over here they have this portal. And I am a huge fan of that portal that Rasputin conjures in the beginning of Hellboy. Love that portal. That's like how I always imagined a portal. So they have this big sort of portal focus lens, and then they got this weird little machine or gadget artifact thingy that zaps the portal and like sort of opens it, right? And then you get, I don't know, let me add some strange shapes so that you get the hint that this is weird. So there's like this portal down here, and then at the front of the portal is this like tentacle-y thing that sort of, as you walk up to it, it like grabs you and sort of reads you or something. I don't know. Worry about all that later. Okay, there we go. And then the wall has this weird row of symbols along it, and so on and so forth. Now, there's one hazard that I was a little worried about, and this is why I don't do a lot of my production art on live streams, is sometimes you can actually be sort of trying to make it look effortless, you know, this process. And you can actually do a little bit, you know, not as good as your best work. And for my production stuff, I want to do my absolute best work. So I don't usually do this. Okay, anyway, up here we have the military stores. Here's a ladder so they can get in and out of that little thing. Then they have like all these military supplies where they restock on spears and stuff. And here's a bunch of spears. You know, you always love finding like weapon racks and food stores for like an army, but when they're on their way to places and stuff. It's always fun to find. Okay. Then in the central area, they have sort of built a little space. And this is where they like hang their prisoners in these cages. So see these little cages just like in Time Bandits. So people that they're trying to get information from or that they're trying to hold for ransom or whatever, they have these hanging cages and they like kind of keep them down there. And like, whoa, that's kind of mean. Okay, then over here, this is where they're mining. So let's do some kind of weird looking rocks. And then there's weird looking rocks coming out of the wall. And there's a little pick sitting there so that you know this is the mining area. There we go. So, you know, what exactly happens when the players sort of find the mining area? I'm not quite sure. You know, maybe that's why the players are there. Like, this is kind of how I try to freeform my way into my games. Is like, well, the map has a little mining area. Okay. What the hell does that mean? Well, I don't know. Maybe that's why people are here. Maybe that's why these tunnels were made in the first place. Maybe blah, blah, blah. But letting yourself ask maybe, saving your judgment for later and just running with it, that's how you get your goodies started. That's the Osborne method. It's the opposite of the Triz method or the Triz project, which is the Russian creativity study that actually revealed that many creative problems in different disciplines are often solved the same way. Really interesting study. It took almost 50 years to conduct by the Russians, called Triz. You guys should look that up. It's pretty crazy. Triz. Very opposite of the Osborne technique, which is basically he's the inventor of brainstorming. Okay, so anyway, that has nothing to do with this map. I am just talking for no reason. So now what I'll do usually is I kind of have enough components here, and then what I want to do is just enough notation where a person who doesn't know exactly what I'm trying to say with my sort of squiggly art can interpret the basics of the map. And you know, then it's totally up to them to improvise what these little super short notes really mean. Okay, so there's my 8 segments to my map, right? Super duper simple kind of notation technique. Now I know since I have an oblong space to fill in the book, I'm going to kind of do this. I know this is a little bit against the rules, but I'm working plenty over my target resolution, so I can kind of get away with that stuff. And then over here, see, I put my little bullets down. And this is so someone outside myself can... That's one crazy thing about making books is you're not there to talk people through it. You have to just rely on the material to speak for itself. Sounds easy in theory, but... Okay, so these are the broken rocks. Pardon the tiny writing here. Okay, then we have 2 was the military supply, or we'll just call it supplies. 3 was the cages. 4 was the mine. See, like one-word bullets are really the ones that I like. 5 is, we're going to call it the elevator. Just because that's not a very fantasy word, but it conveys the idea so compactly. 6 is like, that's like a ragged, it's like a natural, it's flowstone. So that's a non-cut cave. That's a natural cavern. 7 is the altar. Altar of what? I don't know. You figure it out. 8 is the portal. Portal to what? I don't know. Make it fit in your adventure. There you go. Boo! Okay. So now I just want to get this so it's kind of being more friendly with its neighbors. There you go. Be friendly with your neighbors, you know? Like, those are your peoples. All right, and we're done with that one. Boo, 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 boo. All right, cool. So next we needed to do the ruins of Beetle Muir. What is this up here? Oh, okay. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? 66 crazy people hanging out. Nothing exciting really going on here. Hey, one really fun announcement while we're between pieces here. Tucson Comic-Con. Please come down and say hello to me. I'll have a gaming table all weekend. This is November 3rd to November 5th. I'll have a gaming table all weekend, except for when I'm doing talks. And if you show up at the gaming table, we're just going to kick it and play. So I don't even know what we're going to do. Maybe we'll play like with some terrain, play some ICRPG, maybe play some other things that are being revealed there at the con. I'm also doing 3 talks at the show. You can check Facebook for when those are. And here's where it gets crazy. I wanted to run like a marathon hotel room game, probably Saturday night. So if you guys want to hit me up and you can make it to Tucson Comic-Con, hit me up via Facebook and, like hotel room marathon game is what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm going all the way down there just to game, so might as well just like go all out. And I know some of you guys have been wanting to kick it at the table with me, which would be really fun. So this is a good chance, and hopefully I'll be going to more cons. This one I got invited to, and they're paying my way and everything. So, I mean, what are you gonna say no to that? So hopefully I'll get invited to more and be able to get sort of into that kind of circuit kind of life, because I think it could be really fun. It's a great way to meet people. Play 52 card pickup. Okay. Now, Beetle Muir is a little different from what I usually do for dungeon stuff. So I need a plan view on this one. This is a ruined sort of castle, sort of small town that's also a castle. So it's out in the desert in Coab, or in Cath. And so I'm just kind of needing to think it through. So I'm thinking like towers, walled city that's in ruin kind of a thing. So, and then also the big reveal is like the architect of this city was like Ivo Shandor. So the city is actually a giant like supernatural antenna. Okay, so these are the walls of the city. Pulling my lines so they're nice and smooth. But you have to get in some weird positions to get away with that. Okay, and then this back one, we got some ruin here. Okay, and then I think we also got some ruin up on one of the side gates. So let's do some ruin like here. So the idea I wanted to do was basically a sort of a haunted, ruined castle city that's out in the middle of the desert. And recently, some travelers have been noticing activity out there. And the activity they've been seeing are these sort of green-shelled beetles that are moving around in the ruins. Now, whoa. To me, that is an invitation to go do some adventuring. Okay, so the front gate is on the front tower of the town. So it has this like chevron-shaped front gate. And then that comes into a causeway, right? And then you've got your sort of central fountain. And then your castle is here. And then this portion of the castle is ruined. So kind of do this little thing. Now this isn't my entire map. This is just my plan view so I can get thinking. There you go. So now just bear with me a minute while I kind of dress up my lines so it looks like I intended to draw things this way. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of retracing my steps just a little bit, and it just makes the lines look done. You know, and I'm not doing like any kind of magic or something. I'm just, generally where lines meet too, they like to be a little heavier. It creates like a nice bulky tangent, and that can be good. So that's why I go back and kind of where lines are meeting, I sort of bolster them. Here we go. And then this is kind of omitted for current purposes because this is just an overmap. And there you go. Okay, so then what's inside this courtyard? I wanted that to be interesting. So inside the courtyard, on the one hand, you have like these like mausoleum things. There's some places where some people lived at one point. And then over here, this is where things get weird. So they have like this, well, how could I draw it? Like they've been mucking around with these beetles, like growing them and experimenting them on stuff. So it's probably one thing. So here's a bit of the ruin. And then it's this one sort of trapezoidal, sort of oddball shaped building with a little extension on it. And this one's also kind of blasted out the back and has two doors like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna want to zero in on things that, this I use a 23 Cintiq HD. So what I'm thinking now when I go from this just sort of idea phase is, what are going to be the easiest details if I'm DMing for me to kind of set the scene for my players as they arrive here, right? So like, also, you always got to do this kind of approach. Whether players use it or not, a lot of times players will, approach, by going around or by sneaking or doing all kinds of silliness. But knowing what that main approach is can always give you a good place to set the stage. So in this case, this road is a sort of a dead-end road that goes right to Beetle Muir. And like the view from like right here, if you can see my tiny cursor, the view from right there is how I'm going to introduce the space to the players. You're looking at a 5-sided castle fortress with buildings inside. Walls connect the towers. The front point of the 5 sides forms a chevron-shaped gate that has iron spikes. So on and so forth. So also, what are these little obelisks here along the road? Well, those could be a form of clue. Those could be bodies on pikes. They could be, piles of skulls. Something to basically be like, whoa, danger zone. Another cool thing might be they could be sculptures of insects of various types. Ooh, I like that. That's nice. So actually, that's going to be something that I want to kind of play with here. So as you can see with this particular map concept, I'm not just trying to say, here's a literal map of the thing like I do with some of my other stuff. I'm kind of giving you a little montage of ideas. Okay, so how big is this thing? Well, we're going to put in a little scale piece right here. And let me see, on a side, that's probably about 600 feet. We'll call it 500 because 600 is a silly number. 500 feet, there you go. So this is a big enclosed space, okay? So there we go. So you have, this kind of a good sense already of basically 4 interesting locations, I feel like. The approach, what the front door feels like. But now I need to see this a little better, right? I need to see some key things. One key thing I know I want to see is this central fountain. I have to see that. I need a picture of that. So I'm going to just draw it right here, kind of next to the map. And let's play, as Antonio Banderas would say. So I want, this is all in Cath, which is a desert kingdom, a dune sea. And it's also the place where the serpent kingdom, which is now fallen, is sort of the closest to coming back. Like they threaten to reemerge, sort of, would be a way to describe it. Uh-oh, the music got stuck in my brain. It's not even music. I don't know what that is. I was just singing it at the beginning of the stream, and now I'm vexed. There we go. So how do I know what I'm drawing and what am I doing here? I have no answers on that. I'm just kind of making an ascending shape that could be a fountain. Kind of pyramidal in some ways. But more than anything, just trying to sort of get shapes and just let your hand do the thinking, because your brain doesn't know what to do, but your hand always does. Okay, so this is like the base of the fountain here. And then it goes up. And remember, this is Beetle Muir. So somehow the story here is this kingdom was basically found some of their military power by breeding, magically enhancing, training, or growing these like big rideable rhino beetles or scarabs. And at some point in their history it went wrong, and they destroyed most of the fortress and like burrowed their way back into the desert and disappeared. Okay, whoa, that happened 100 years ago, but recently there's movement has started to happen in there again, and like it's starting again. So the purpose I wanted with the fountain was to kind of drive this home, right? So like, what am I doing with the fountain? I kind of want to imply these shapes. What are some of these shapes? They're kind of like this type shape. But it has a more of a an angular component to it, right? It's like that. There we go. That's more like it, with this kind of weird little underhorn. There we go. Getting closer. There we go. So that's that weird head that a rhino beetle has, right? So how does the rhino beetle fit onto the fountain? Well, I don't just have to draw a rhino beetle. Like here's its body. This is art. This is sculpture. So this can kind of take liberties with the shape and be sculptural rather than literal. Like Cthulhu, that's one of the scary things about when they discover Cthulhu. It isn't actually Cthulhu, it's that sculpture of him. And that there's something to be said about that. So, anyway, here it is. I'm going to do sort of a little multiple eye thing going on. I don't even know if these are legs or mandibles or what. Doesn't matter. It's just I know that the sculpture needs this. And there we go. So that's really the essence of my shape. Now I just need to sort of follow through and work on it. Okay, so another good trick if you're doing like insecty stuff is to do these little repeating lines like that, and you'll get like this feeling of like a carapace. So if you just make like a jagged line, just kind of make another one that kind of follows it, and it really is that simple. And then it's just a matter of practice and getting crazy with it. Drawing better than old Hank. There we go. So now I'm just doing like dark blobs, and the dark blobs will kind of give me a little bit of roundness to the shape. So I don't really have a rule of what I'm filling in. I just want the shape to sort of pop a little more like that. You can also always put a dark line under another thing and it'll feel like a shadow. I know that sounds silly, but it's easy to forget the simple things like that sometimes. Okay, there you go. And then there's also like carvings on this thing. So these are just like little, guys know how I do my little carving thingies. Cool. So this is this weird fountain. Now there's no like bubbling goo, there's no weird glowing water or anything, because remember, this is a ruin. So this fountain does not work anymore. But it doesn't matter, because its purpose is to kind of set this tone of like, what the hell's going, what are these guys into? What kind of weird stuff are these guys into, right? So it just gives you this impression. And then you should also kind of think like, hey, I kind of recognize that weird beak shape. Isn't that like one of those weird bugs? One of those big old, rhino bugs? And there you go. So that's your central fountain. Okay. So then I need to retcon my map, because that doesn't have a round base. That doesn't feel right at all. So I'm going to go retcon this into a square as it's sort of a pyramid, like that. Now, does that level of detail really matter? Well, if you love D&D, hell yeah. You say my mango, I say papaya. You say papango, I say mamai. Coconut, 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 banana. Coconut, banana. Okay, so there you go. There is your Rhino Beetle fountain. I'm satisfied. I feel like that serves the function of being something for me to describe to get things underway. Right? You enter this ruined fortress. The architecture has these kind of strange repeating shapes that look more biological than they do architectural, but also this great old fountain that's no longer functioning stands at the middle of the ruin, and it sports a bizarre sculpture that looks like this, and then you hold up your index card or whatever. So I'm just adding some little obelisks back here because I felt the need. Like it didn't quite feel complete. Also, having a few sort of black objects behind stuff you're working on can kind of imply depth in ways that can be handy. There we go. The thing you're seeing me do right there is sometimes I'll just take an eraser and sharpen the points of things, and you don't get that blobby point that sometimes your pen is going to leave behind on you. So it's a good way to make things sharp. You know, like the tips of swords always need a quick little eraser hit, and then they feel sharp and they feel kind of threatening and cool. All right, great. So there is my central sculpture. So I kind of have a few key things. I know there's some buildings. I know that they're sort of ruined in spots. I can invent some of the gameplay inside each building. You know, like one building was like the royal space. One building is the bug experimental space. And then the other one is like the living quarters, right? So now once some monsters enter the fray and maybe like a giant one is coming up from under the ruins or something, okay, I've got most of my adventure. But for a visual cue, I still really want to see this dang city. I imagine you guys are feeling that too. Like, the map kind of helps, but that doesn't let me see Beetle Muir from a distance like I would. So let me just do that. I'm going to do like a landscape view. And you know, on the whole, by the way, that's how you draw dunes. Just draw a shape like this, go up near the peak and draw a curved line, and you'll get a dune. On the front of visual aids, you guys know me, like I'm a huge believer in, you know, just like index card art or having drawings handy, or then on the far side, you know, having really cool dry erase maps or even 3D terrain at your table, right? Because the visual aids like really put a spin on the game that I really find it hard to live without. I've really come to be used to visual aids and love them. But what's fascinating to me is that whole visual aid kind of mindset goes way back. And spoiler, if you look behind me back there, do you guys see anything behind me back there? You know, it's not really called a spoiler if you're intentionally telling people about stuff because you're excited. A spoiler is like where you ruin things. No, anyway, that is the Dark Sun box set poster back there. So I actually ordered a bunch of Dark Sun material, and I'm doing this huge video all about Dark Sun, so that if you're considering getting into Dark Sun, or you just don't know what it's about, or you're just curious or whatever, it's just this huge exhaustive breakdown of what Dark Sun's all about. One of the coolest things in the Dark Sun box set is that they use index card RPG style play aids. It's crazy. Literally like cool index cards with cool little ant people and stuff on them. It's awesome, man. I just love TSR. Just killed it back in the day. Killed it, I say. Okay. So what does Beetle Muir look like? Well, Remember, it's partially ruined, so the point of it is going to be right here. The ruined side is over here. You see what I'm doing? And then here's the non-ruined side. So now I'm just getting my bearings from my map up here down. Oh, wait, you guys can't see my hands. From my map up here down to my landscape view down here. Okay, so now I just know, okay, this is a tower. What exactly does a tower look like in Beetle Muir? Well, it's got this kind of cool thing, and then they have these repeating shapes on their buildings like that. So now I'm just going to live up to that idea. And by live up to, I mean, kind of like follow through. Like, okay, I got my idea. It's these kind of repeating shapes. And they kind of go like that, right? So it's like the rule for drawing, like an insect carapace. I'm going to do it on buildings. And that's the whole sort of rub. And then, let me see. So the walls are about there, about there. Those don't need to be final lines. I'm just kind of getting my bearings. And then there's these kind of big braces on the wall where the gate is. This tower is all wrecked. Like maybe the pinnacle of the tower is still down here. It's out in the desert, and like the ruins kind of go out into the desert. So would you necessarily use this piece of art? Like, do you need to do art that's so good that you can't wait to reveal it to your players? Hell no. Hell no. A big part of doing this stuff is just doing it for you inside your journal. Well, then why am I doing all this work on a cool map, Hankern? So that you can deliver descriptions with verve. If your descriptions come from a visual reference, I guarantee you, absolutely, every time, they will have more depth. They will give rise to more emergent play by your players if they come from an actual visual reference. Okay, so I'm adding a couple more of these sort of top buttress things, and then I imagine this twin gate like we saw on the map view, like that, right? And then the twin gate has spikes. Look at the little cartoon spikes, little Castle Crashers spikes. There we go. All right, so this is just the front too. This is just the kind of the front wall. Some little loopholes for archers to fire out back in the old days. Some buttresses at the foot of the wall, which I guess could be called footers more so than buttresses. Okay, but this is just the front, right? So in theory, not the interesting part. So the interesting part is this central royal building, which is straight back. And then I think we have a little bit of ruin of this side building showing like this. It's back in there. And this is always what's fun about a fortress is not what you see out front, but what you see just beyond. Right? So it's like these kind of strange, almost like Lovecraftian sort of building shapes. I mean, granted, the Lovecraftian reference is pretty overused these days. A lot of times it's mentioned just because there's like a tentacle nearby or something, but that really isn't the essence of it. There's a great Lovecraft film about that little Swiss boy that they genetically modify out on that island. Oh my god, that was so Lovecraft. It was just gorgeous. Like, you have no idea what's going on in that movie. You just know it's awful and terrifying. Okay. So this is the shadows of Beetle Muir back here. Now I'm just not going to leave it all pitch black quite like this. There's a couple of vines and stuff. I'm going to erase little pieces of it out to do some surfaces like that. So this kind of just shows the sort of odd repeating patterns that these buildings have. Beetle Muir. So now I think you're starting to see something that could be conveyable to a player. I hope so. That's my goal. There's like one old banner that's still flying. Been there for 80 years, this raggedy old banner. Has been flying on the tower of Beetle Muir. So that could be cool. Is this kind of lonely banner that's flapping in the desert wind. And that sets your mood a little bit. That sets your moment of like, it's not entirely dead. So you notice I just went back and kind of cleaned that up a bit so it was a little less confusing, so you feel the buildings a little easier. Feeling shapes in your art is something I can't fully put into words, but you definitely know when you don't feel it. So what I'll do is I'll keep struggling until I start to feel the shapes emerge. Yeah, I do profile pics for people and stuff like that. It's all part of my commission work that I do. You can email me, Cameron. Like if Jason Scranton is still hanging around, he has one that I did, and Drake has one that I did. There you go. That is Beetle Muir. That's the approach to Beetle Muir. I like it. I'm feeling good about it. That's kind of close to what I mean. When I'm imagining things, I don't really even see it in my head. I have kind of word cues, and that way I don't get disappointed when my drawings don't look exactly like some kind of preconception. Okay, so the only thing I think this is the center fountain. So I'm going to do a little bit of notation. And I'm not quite ready to show you guys the book, but in spots you just want your notation to be right on your map so you don't have to use up like text space in your book. Okay, then here we're going to do 1, we're going to do 2, 3, 4, and oh, I can't fit. That drives me crazy. I have to make a space for that. I have to put the number 5 in here. Okay, there we go. So you get that little thing. There we go. Hey, whoa. Okay, we fit it. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, 1 is causeway. 2 is fountain. 3 is lab, beetle lab, or we'll just call it the laboratory. 4 is quarters. And 5, where's 5? Oh wait, no, 5 is laboratory. 3 is palace. So you guys see how I'm a real believer in exactly which word you choose. So do I need to give you all the details of what the layout of the palace is and here's how the palace has to be for these mechanics to nerp. No, I bet you guys have a million cool ideas for interior maps and interior mechanics and stuff like that. And you just need to get some of those pulled together to do the palace in the ruins of Beetle Muir. So that's kind of the mindset I like to adopt when I'm creating content for other dungeon masters. Leave room. Also, I really like to present as little writing as possible to get ideas across so that you can quickly and practically read the material and get going on the idea rather than feeling like you need to read 50 pages of material. Now maybe that's just because I'm impatient or something, but I think that's a useful instinct to plumb. So this is approach from the road, or this is the approach. I'm just going to call it approach. Oh, south approach. There you go. Nice. There you go. There's the ruins of Beetle Muir, and that's all I'm going to give you in the book. So there's also a little blurb about the dungeon. And you get the blurb, but then you get this, and then you're just like, well, I mean, isn't there more to it? I'm like, no, because there's like 16 more dungeons to do. And then there's 40 adventures for Warp Shell, and then there's an entire campaign for Ghost Mountain. So, like, you don't need to hang out on Beetle Muir for hours. Like, just move on. Okay. All right, cool. The price, you can email me for prices and stuff like that, Cameron. Cliff Notes. Yeah, tell Roth that's where I'm at. Are you listening to any tunes while drawing? I can't, man. I have to keep it quiet so you guys can hear tunes and so my videos don't get flagged and all that stuff. Alfenstein, a campaign guide for ICRPG. I mean, that's really what Worlds is. It's really a few campaigns, honestly. It really feels like 3 campaigns in one. And we are currently playing the Ghost Mountain campaign, so that's contributing to how it's written. Okay, so we've got 2 of the items on the to-do list done. And now we needed to do one more item. I needed to do a monster. Okay, so there's lots and lots of monsters to do in this book, but just for fun, do you guys want to do a ETA for Worlds? Should be November if I can really rally. So hopefully end of November, but no promises. Doing as good as I can. Yeah, what should we do? Should we do like a Titanic monster? Or should we do like more? I guess our options really are the Slayer and the Snow Orc. So a Slayer is in Ghost Mountain. It's basically my tribute to Pumpkinhead. If you've seen that movie, great time of the year to go watch Pumpkinhead tonight with the lights off. But basically, well, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you. But it is a creature that has to do with human vengeance, and it's sort of bound to this curse of vengeance. So that's not a spoiler. So I could do that. That's the Slayer. That's kind of the big guy. He's, like 20 feet tall. Or I could do the Snow Orc, which maybe I'll do 2 or 3 of them in a group, which are these, that's exactly what they are. They're like cold weather orcs who live in this pine forest up in Nordheim. So what do we got? We got Slayer, Orc, Slayer, Orc. Let's get a few more votes in here. Kind of sound off. Holla. Holla at a player. Holla at a player. When you're gonna draw an orc, just holla at a player. Holla at a player. What do we got? There's a couple more. The orcs are running ahead with it. There go the orcs. Slayer's behind by 2 or so. Orc, Slayer, Orc, Slayer. Other things. I think the orcs just get an orc slayer. An orc getting slain by the slayer. Alright, let's just rip through a single orc and we'll see if we can get to the slayer, okay? Hey, what's up, Ground Beef? How you doing, brother? Thanks for watching, everybody. Got 114 crazy 3-thumb people on the stream right now, so really good to see you. Whoa, the slayer is kind of pulling some weight here. Ooh! The Slayer's pulling in. I know a lot less what the Slayer looks like, but maybe that can make it more interesting. All right, the next vote gets it. Peace, he says. What's up, Nick Sosa? Hey, man. Next vote gets it. Orc or Slayer? What should we do? Orc. There it is. Blitzen? You named it. Okay, so normally an orc is a sort of a retro-engineered elf, right, that's been warified. Snow Orc, I wanted to get into some furs and some other stuff like that. Remember, there's no color in ICRPG, so I don't have to worry about blue skin and everything, even though I like that idea. So let's do it. Let's blob it out. Now, here's where I'm definitely getting into, like, Shy Zone, you guys. It's like, doing final production character art while people are watching is not an easy thing. Okay, so we are doing Snow Orcs. So we're going to do a little group of them. And kind of do them almost in a way that you would do like player character art. Like you kind of, your character showcasing here. So, what do they have as weapons? And you don't want to do poses that are so crazy that you can't just read the character a little better. Or maybe he's, what are these guys doing? Are they running? Are they calling to each other? You know, also I didn't imagine him being too burly. Yeah, and I wanted to do him calling to his buddy, so you can see, like, this isn't how the art's going to wind up being, but it gets me started. And, you know, this isn't easy to do when people are watching, I gotta say. Because usually where you wind up is very far from where you start. And, you know, it's just a real process of just Bob Rossing it. You know, it's just like, this is your world, you know, make some decisions. Enjoy having the freedom of living in this little fictional universe you're in. Been doing like these kind of gladiator helmets too lately that have been really fun. With bills on them like this. Now just don't judge me yet, because I have a long way to go. So withhold judgment on this drawing. Now it's too civilized for an orc. I think maybe he could have like a hatchet helmet. He could have like an arrow helmet. He could have... Ooh, I know what I'll do. I'll do this guy. Yeah. He's got this three-way. Then he'll have like a visor. There we go. Okay, cool. That is an idea I can run with. So he's got this crazy spiked three-way helmet. Actually, I don't even need the top one. Then I'll put the visor on. So you see how much he changed just in those few moments. Like, when you're drawing for a stream, it can be hard to let that happen. You kind of feel like you want to make everybody happy right away, and just drawing just doesn't work that way. At least not when you're at my level. All he needs is an afro. Okay, I know that I wanted a big fur too. So you can see I'm just kind of building mass this way. And then every once in a while I'll draw it out as well, you know, like I'll just line draw like that, and just, you know, there's this belt and everything, and this hand's a little close. Get this hand there. This hand also should be like that. How do I know that? I don't know. It just ages of drawing, I guess. I don't know. So also, like, where's his chin? I don't know. I just lost it, right? Because I'm filling in his sort of chest space. And I think that's a good thing. I want that to happen. Because it'll let me improvise better and better as I work of, like, really where his face and stuff is. Like, see, I think his face is lower than when I originally... Like, it's down there. Oh, yeah. There you can see where he's going to come together. So, good. So he's got this coat, but I don't want him to have a coat. He just has a fur. So he's got to be bare for the most part. So like under here, he's bare. So I need muscles down there, right? Like that. And then he's also bare right in the chest. But he's got like a belt that holds a fur on. So he doesn't have like a collar or lapels or anything. Because this is an orc, man. This isn't a professor at Cambridge. It's a freaking orc. There we go. Okay, so then I need a buckle. Nice. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. These horns are more than I'd imagined them to be. They're kind of taking on a life of their own. And you know, people who complain about horned helmets not being realistic, no. It's too cool to give up on now. I don't care if it's realistic. All right. Yeah, cool. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. I don't know if him calling is quite working. More fur. So let me start to get a sense of some face. Now, orcs always have, you know, like exaggerated jaw and cheek lines and stuff like that. So gonna have to work through all that, and that may take a second. But I just try to put things in that make me feel where the shapes are going to be. And then worry about how good I'm doing the shapes. Cyclops. Okay, so one thing, I know I need more room here, so I'm just going to give myself some room. And I don't like how this sort of mouth space is working out. Just don't have enough mouth space. There we go, that's better. Ah! Ah! Do the small cranium with the heavy brow line. That's then where his helmet can live. See that? So that's how I sort of refound my helmet. Yeah, and as long as I don't look at the chat line too much, I can actually kind of stay in here and stay in the drawing mode. So if I'm not reading everything, I'm sorry about that, but I am in zone. If I stay in zone, better artings. And we want good artings. Oh, yes. I think I prefer no nostrils to gorilla nostrils like that. So now I'm a little bit in like, this kind of feels sort of predictable. Now I'm just going to start trying things just to see what happens to my idea. Like, is there some much more creative version that I can think of? Sometimes the answer is no. Oh, see, there you go. So now I have like this, a sort of a kink in his neck. And that adds to that orcishness. And I like it. Yeah, see there, he's got this kind of... Love it. And as cool as the... Well, I don't know if I'm ready to give up on it. I feel like I could design this helmet a lot better. I've done so many helmets over the years. Surely I can make a crazy one. You know, and I might not even need like the face and everything. I might just go in like that, which actually I like a lot better. Like the helmet goes over him like that. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of this arm. Just bringing me down. Get rid of that. So you guys can see like how I know that often I have this reputation of like making things look easy or whatever, but it's never easy. Okay, now that's cool. Now it looks like he's in the wind. It's kind of colder. Get some more room for fur here. Kind of get this a little more furry looking. You know, and like this is something that also that I really loved about Dark Sun is just how Brahm, the artist for Dark Sun, got this such a mood and tone of savagery. It's just badass. It's just cool, man. So what am I doing right now? I have no idea. I'm just playing. I kind of like those sort of eye hole things like in a gladiator's mask. Like that. I haven't given up on the horns yet, as you can see. What about like these style? Like bighorn sheep style. That's kind of cool. Don't worry about the 3D on those. We'll work it out later. Just trying to get my shapes to suggest what I want them to suggest. Yeah, that's cool. So then it's almost like almost tiefling-esque how they're coming off the head there. Another little trick you can do is always to put a little pen stroke on a circle like that, and it kind of, you'll get much more of an eye read out of it. Okay. I don't like it being that repeating. No, I don't like any of that. I like his ram horns. Okay, I'm just going to walk away from that for a while. So I like this idea that his sort of one side of him is kind of stretched out. How am I doing on time? Okay. Kind of eating up a little bit of time here, so sorry about that, y'all. I'm doing my best. I hope. So, like, what's going on over there? You know, you kind of, when your arm is thrown out on the side like that, it's usually like means you're dodging or something. So if he's dodging, then this waistline wouldn't make much sense. And then usually too, when you're doing a dodging or lunging motion, your head goes down like that. But I really like that kink in his neck, so I'm going to leave that alone. Actually, why don't we do I'm a Big Badass. So this is a bit of a cheater move, but it can help you sometimes if you're looking for a shape you can't find, or if you're trying to save time. There you go. So see, I don't necessarily just want to use the same drawing on both sides. Snowblind visor, yeah, I like that idea. But, you know, using something from one side to the other can give you like this, a guide, you know, just a place to get started. Because as we all know, like the hardest part of everything is just those first few lines or that first moment of whichever project you happen to be doing. The beginning is always so tough. I don't know if it's the hardest part, but it's definitely one of the many hard parts. Okay, so here we go. So he's kind of twisting. See that? He's kind of got but he's also flexing, showing you his weaponry. And I'm digging that. That's cool. There we go. There we go. Getting some shape. Now, one thing I don't like is this is basically a dude. It's a human, not an orc. So you guys are going to poop your pants, but gone. Spear and shield. Yes, I couldn't agree more. He's a little big. I'm running out of space here. There we go. Okay. Him being this size too is going to give me room for even more fur, which is still kind of his sort of gimmick or jam. All right, so there's his fur coming around the back of him. Thanks for watching, by the way, everybody. It's great to have you. Yeah, and this could be like a bone spear. It can have some sort of little bone shapes on it like that, and we can put some wraps on it, stuff like that. I'm not worried about that. I know I'll do a good job with that. It's just the fundamentals of the creature are where I'm like, man, is this going to be cool or not? I can't tell yet. And, you know, a lot of it comes into the feeling you get when you read that head. Now, is the head cool? Like, to me, that's even more orcish. He's got like a freaking bucket helmet. Yeah. Oh, a tusk scene? Okay, let's try that. So let's cut the bucket helmet off here. Yeah, so see, I think something that I liked about that helmet creation experience was I just drew a shape. I really had no idea where I was heading with it, and I wound up liking it a lot better than what I had. So I think there's something to take away there. A lesson to be learned. Okay, so here's my tusks. And then my teeth is. Okay, so let's do bottom tusks instead. So you guys can see, I just it's actually kind of a pleasure to reveal how uncertain some of this process can be to everybody. Because I'm sure you guys have met artists who have a pet peeve around, you know, people thinking it's easy. I wouldn't call it a pet peeve of mine, but I like to reveal basically everything. I like all the secrets to come out. I like the idea that anybody could do any of this. There's no secrets. There, I got a few too many teeth, but I'm liking that. See, I like that because that's also just way less human. See you later, Ben. Good to have you, man. See, then it got too weird. Then I'm too Dark Souls out. I'm experimenting if I can get a little more human read on the visor. Oh man, that bucket helmet is so kick-ass. I am digging that. I don't know where that came from. There we go. Now you're talking orc helmet. Okay, so I need some armor that's going to live up to that helmet, and I think I'm going to save it for the waist armor so that I can keep this sort of fur and muscle theme simple up top. So now I'm just going to work a little bit on the fur to make sure you see there's some wind. Let's put a tassel on this spike here so that there's some wind up there. Yeah, that's better. Okay, this is much more the creature I was hoping for. I think Big Head really helped me too, because Big Head makes him look a little sort of smaller, and I always imagine orcs as being a little bit shrunken. You know, not all orcs are urukai. Okay, so anyways, I'm still just out of freaking space up in this piece. So I'm going to give myself some space. All right, I'm just going to do this classic kind of, you know, spread-legged battle stance. Mainly so that I can showcase this this waist armor. Okay, so he's got this basically like a fighting coat or battle coat, and it goes down there somewhere. So what I want to do is capture like that steel piece that the helmet has, that vibe, and bring it to the tassets. Big metal and leather tassets, yeah, exactly. Oh, scrap is also fun too. Great idea. So let's do some scrappy shapes. So he's got like these bad boys, right? Oh yeah. You feeling that, guys? Woo! Oh crap. I'm dorking. I'm going full dork because I'm psyched. That's cool. Yeah, great idea with the scrap look. Okay, then I can't take it too far though. I need a little bit of order going down the middle. So I don't think I want chevrons. But that is a really cool start. So let me just do a fill and then reclean, which basically is this technique I do like this. So I have my shape, right? Instead of delete the transparent, like the line that was underneath there, like my sketch line, I'll fill the whole shape in, then go in with my eraser and clean it out. And what it gives you is this really kind of interesting outer line that has a lot of variation and fun to it. Like that. So anyway, continuing that trend as if I know what I'm doing. Okay, look, I know what I'm doing over here. Okay, then kind of just let your hand be free with these strokes. And there you go. Clean up your mess. Yeah, so that's what I wanted. And then I got rivets, right? Whole thing's riveted together. And there's side one. So I come on back. Now, just to do the exact opposite, So eliminate the underneath line that's left over, just with the eraser. And there you go, you're also done. So is one better than the other? I don't know. It's not really a competition, just different techniques. Different strokes for different focus. All right, cool. Man, these snow orcs are kind of not to be messed with. Okay, so now I'm just going to do Conan style leather chain, skirt thing, belt skirt, whatever you call it, belt kilt, battle kilt, war kilt. I killed a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear those snow orcs a coming, I hang my head and cry. Okay, so there we go. Some little scratchy out eraser bits. Get some eraser bits there. Give me some fur. Yeah, man. So I like too that this changes the weight of it too. You can see the weight moves significantly on the piece of what's the badass part of this guy, and to have it somewhere besides like biceps and pecs to me is more creative. Bit of an alternative to what maybe part of the mind expected. You guys know kids like in grade school used to make sound effects that would match their drawings? I still do that. Really, a lot of the artists I've worked with over the years totally still do that. They'll be sitting there going, yeah. This guy's too badass for this. I have a round shield. No, you don't. You've got an axe in that hand, my brother. Also, his shoulder alignment's a little off for flexing. There we go. Even more room for fur. And then we're just going to go right down here, and this is his offhand weapon. Yeah, there we go. A bearded axe. With a little hook tail on it. Yeah, now you're talking. That's orc equipment. Now, I'd like to do a snow orc that has like tattoos and stuff like that, but you just can't do every single idea on one guy. You gotta have a little bit of control. Control is not something I'm known for, but that doesn't mean I can't do it. Okay, then we get down to the legs, and I'm a little off now, so I'm just gonna kind of start over on my legs now that I a little bit know where my guy is better. Nice. So that breaks his horse stance just a bit. Then we'll do fur top boots. So the fur top boots are like right here, right? And then he's got those big boots with the front buckles on them. Yeah, now he looks like he's up in the polar wastelands, right? That's cool, man. So these are just little leftover skirt bits that are coming up from the back of his skirt. And those little extra squiggles just give me wind in my mind. Maybe he even has like a banner on here. A snow orc. Something kind of like that. What about goat legs? I like that, but I can't imagine an orc with goat legs. Feels a little weird to me. Plus, I'm a little past that point. I like the idea. Well, on another piece. Remember, there's a million pieces to go, so... definitely the Slayer has goat legs, too, so... Pumpkinhead has like 3-piece goat legs. He's got like mega goat legs. Yeah, that guy's pretty dope, huh? Cool. So if it's going to make a good miniature on your table, then it's fine by me. Really like how the mystery came around the face. But now for my next snow orc that I do, like let's say I'm going to do a close-up, I've got some interesting data here. So let me show you a quick trick. So you can't really see what I'm doing yet, but I'm on a new layer. And I'm basically capturing some of this key data. There it is, about how that head turned out. So, interesting. So I'll just take that and keep it. Take a good look. Measure it with your brain. Done. Start over. And then see if I can't, kind of capture that into a close-up. But see, I also didn't want these kind of typical eyes. I wanted something else going on. I think it's probably why I was wound up with that helmet. Like I wanted these they're almost like light deprived or something in the winter. So they have these kind of sunken. So I've got a little bit big on my tusks and stuff, but I'm just trying to extrapolate, like what really am I seeing in that orc shape, when the helmet's off. Again, to assist your imagination so that when your player invariably wants to steal that helmet, you kind of have a description. These guys are nuts. Hank should be hired for sound effects. So I'm just kind of doodling now. I'm just sort of playing around. I think we're about running a little low on time. Not that there's a deadline or anything, but I try not to just ramble on and make these videos like hours long, because that's not cool. That's good stuff. He has no chin. It looked like it's sort of like a paper bag with a giant mouth. So like some of them are kind of worse off than others and stuff like that. Anyway, so lots of fun things coming along. There's that. There's that one that we did. There's the main orc. What is it called? Broken Rock Tunnels. And, spoiler for other stuff later. So, anyway. Whew. That's about it for today, everybody. Boy, thanks everyone for tuning in. It's 117 of you crazies. All stone cold chilling. No, I don't really feel like I need to plug or promote anything. You guys all know what's up. It's great to have you. Definitely watch for... I've got 2 videos coming up that are almost done. One is The Adventure to Athos, or basically everything you wanted to know and never had the water to ask about Dark Sun. That's coming up. And then I also have another video called All That Lies Between, which is millions of questions over the last 3 years have come my way, and I've dodged every single one of them about doing social encounters, RP, playing in town, everything that happens between battles. So I finally got enough intelligent thoughts together to make an opus about that topic, because that is a crucial, huge topic. So those 2 videos are going to be coming up, and that is the world of YouTube, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Go follow other routes on the internet to find other cool things. And if I can see you guys at Tucson, please don't hesitate to hit me up straight on Facebook. Don't be shy. And let's play some freaking games in my hotel room in Tucson. That would be kick-ass, all right? So, strength, honor, and beer, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And I'll see you on the flip side, all right? Mahalo.